As a blind student, my high school experience was not always a great one, and at times it was downright bad. But what I can say for certain is that what I have learned from all the challenges that have been thrown at me over the years is something I would never trade for anything. I would like to tell you all a little bit about my story. Pretty much everything I do takes more effort and time than it does for all of you. Getting around, doing ordinary daily living tasks, and especially making friends. Schoolwork is usually not too big of a problem for me, but that doesn't mean there weren't challenges. Whether it was a math test that was never brailled, an online resource that wasn't accessible with my screen reading software, or any number of other things, there was almost always some sort of problem to solve. But despite that, I genuinely enjoyed the constant adversity. It wasn't easy, but I got through it for two reasons. First, because of my teachers. Their willingness to be flexible and problem solve is a trait I will always admire and attempt to replicate. And secondly, because I've grown up entirely with sighted people, it has always been important to me to keep up with you guys to the best of my ability. Adversity is and always will be a big part of my life, and I discovered that the sooner I accepted that fact, the more successful I would be in overcoming it. For me, my biggest challenge, and the hardest one to talk about, is my social life, or lack thereof. While I've gotten better over the years, I always have been and probably always will be on the shy side. So due to a combination of me not feeling comfortable approaching other people and other people not being sure how to talk to me since I can't see, my social life is, let's just say, not very exciting. I've gone back and forth on whether I'm okay with this a lot recently, and while I've learned to enjoy my free time, it is nice to hang out with people sometimes. I've tried to figure out ways to seem more approachable and to start more conversations myself, but it's a lot easier said than done. Another thing I struggle with is not being able to play sports, but I've tried my best to make up for that the last 2 years by serving as the blind statistician for our boys' varsity basketball team. And as a lot of you know, I made a free throw on senior night this year. That was the most memorable moment I had in all my time at Edgewood. And not just because it landed me on the news. A free throw is no big deal for most people, but I went from airballing most of my shots to almost always hitting the rim within 3 weeks of practice. As you might expect from a blind guy, my chances of making a shot on senior night looked pretty slim at first, but I gradually improved as I tinkered with different shooting motions and different ways of holding the ball. Still, my best day of practice was probably only 30% makes at best, so I guess luck was on my side when the big day came around. Finding different ways to achieve the same results as all of you, that's basically the story of my life. Moments like that free throw are why I keep trying, why I don't give up. Giving up is losing, and I don't want to be a loser. Failing might hurt more than giving up in the short term, but failure means you're trying, and if you're trying hard enough, eventually it will pay off. So sure, there are obviously moments when sight can come in handy, like when trying to shoot a free throw. For one, I know that if I could see, I would be much less injury prone. I ran into more of those darn poles in the hall at school than I could ever count. And I once broke my nose when I ran into a tree while playing kickball in the yard the day before Christmas. And in Senior Assassins, maybe instead of being served up on a silver platter when my assassin finally cornered me, and hitting my head on the side of my garage in a clumsy attempt to run away, maybe I could have put up a fight. And who knows, just maybe if I could see, maybe I wouldn't be friend-zoned by every girl. Okay, I'm just kidding about that. But the truth is, whether I like it or not, my blindness has shaped me. My strengths and my weaknesses are largely a result of it. People assume that if I had the chance to see one day, I would take it, but truthfully, I'm not sure if I would. I don't know how being able to see would change who I am as a person. Would I have the same view of the world? Would I have the same drive to keep going no matter what obstacle is in my path? I don't know. Living blind might not be easy, but I've never known anything else, and I'm not sure I want to risk changing who I am just so I can see. Earlier this year, I met and got to ski with a guy named Eric Weinmayer. Eric was the first blind person to summit Mount Everest, and he has since gone on to top all 7 summits, the highest peak on each continent. Among other things, he has also kayaked the Grand Canyon and climbed other treacherous terrain, including ice climbing in Alaska. While I'm nowhere close to as brave and daring as he is, one thing he said stood out to me in particular. Facing challenges and overcoming adversity makes you stronger, giving you an adversity advantage. You are not weaker or less just because some things are harder for you than for most other people. That sounds obvious when I say it out loud, but we should all have a mantra like the adversity advantage. I think that we as people and as a collective society need to stop running from our weaknesses and work to embrace our flaws, because they are what make us different from each other. And in my opinion, being different makes the world a much more interesting place. Weaknesses are only weaknesses if you let them be. Yes, my eyes may never work how they're supposed to, but I've gained a lot of perspective because of it. Your flaws are your imperfections on the surface, but they really can make you stronger if you embrace them and use them as motivation to overcome them. I know that I'm just one of 121 on the stage, and we have all faced our own unique challenges, but we've also had tremendous success in our time at Edgewood. In my totally unbiased opinion, this is the best graduating class Edgewood has ever seen. We have won more academic awards than I care to count, and we have won many different competitions at the state, national, and even the international level. Edgewood had its first Division I athlete last year, and this year we are adding 3 more. So I am grateful to be allowed to come up here and speak on behalf of this awesome class, and even more to use this time to talk about myself. This was my first ever motivational speech. And I can only hope you all found something in it that spoke to you. So thank you for listening, and congratulations to the class of 2024.